happening?
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Max.
And you guys are tuning in to the Wilderness Whiskey Roundtable podcast.
Back for another one.
We got through the Christmas season here. Hope
Christmas.
everybody's was good. Got through New Year's.
It's a new year, 2025.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes. Get used to the whole 2025 thing when you're writing dates down because I already fucked that up today.
Yeah, that's going to be it. I usually don't get it till about June.
Yeah.
Actually, the other day I wrote 2023. So if you're stuck,
way off.
Yeah, I'm stuck in the past.
Yeah, don't feel bad if you're writing 2024 still, because this guy over here, he's still living in the past.
What a fucking idiot.
All right, yeah, like Ty said, we hope everybody had a great Christmas. Hopefully you guys listened to the last episode, which came out after Christmas anyways, but we are now a couple days past New Year's. This will drop on Monday again for you, so it'll be like the 6th or something like that, I think. We are gonna do a new little segment to start the podcast off, and I think it's gonna be freaking fun. We got some meat eater trivia. There is a trivia game floating out there, and it's based on the Meat Eater show. If you guys have watched it, we're big fans of it. Nice little hard case. Looks pretty cool. Sweet little logo with like a squirrel riding a fish or something.
It's on screen there if you can see it.
Yeah.
Kind of reflective.
Squirrel holding the flag, riding a fish.
It says, game on, suckers.
Game? Oh, it's a squirrel catching
It's a squirrel riding a carp.
basically. Yeah, it's hilarious. And actually, this is just a small version of it. There's like 2 more stacks of trivia cards in the box underneath the table there too. So we got lots of trivia that we can go through, but we figure
We're only doing 2 per person.
Yeah, each card's got 2 questions on it, so we're each going to grab a random card, and we'll read 2 trivia questions to the other person, and we'll see if we can get them right.
I think that's lame. I think you didn't tell me there was more than just these cards.
Oh, there's piles of them, dude.
I feel like we got to do 2 cards.
You want to do 2 cards?
Or at least to get it started.
Okay, we'll do 2 cards. If you guys hate the segment, we'll go down to 1 card apiece, but I think it's going to be fun.
Well, if they hate this segment, I guess we'll drop
We'll
it.
maybe cut it entirely, yeah. Or you guys just tell us what you think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's going to be kind of fun. Some of them are really freaking hard, too.
Yeah, some of them I'm like, I don't even know anybody who would know that.
Maybe Steve Ranella.
Steve Ranella.
Shout out, Steve.
That would be a good one to like...
Get Steve on the podcast and play his game with him.
You'd be like, here, let's see.
Well, this is a public challenge. We're calling you out, Steve.
At Steve Ranella. Okay. Draw a card
Take 2
here.
of them. These will be for me.
I like that one and that one.
All right.
Did you see the answers?
I didn't.
All right. How should we kick this off here? You want me to go first?
We'll just do a card apiece first. So do 2 questions. I'll try to answer them both. I'm nervous, guys. People are going to think we're just bad outdoorsmen.
I know. There are 5 states with multiple national grasslands. Name 2 of those states.
Oh, God.
That's tough, man.
Let's go Nebraska and South Dakota.
Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, Oklahoma, and Texas.
Come on, man. I was going to go North and South Dakota, but I felt like that was like an easy way out.
You are 1 of 2
Okay.
on that, so 0. I guess. You didn't get it fully right.
Didn't get it right.
Ask me one now. I think
right.
we flip-flop it.
Here's a good one. What state leads America in Bigfoot sightings?
Ooh. That is tough.
That's tough.
Because I did watch like a small stint of that show. And I heard it on the Rogan podcast like not that long ago. He had a guy on. I'm going to have to go with Ohio.
It's Washington.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Did you know that?
I think that's actually what they said. I couldn't remember it. I didn't know that off the top of my head.
I didn't either.
But
I would have never guessed Washington.
no. Okay. Maine is famous for this type of hot dog, which shares its name with a saltwater fish.
Oh, God.
Famous for this type of hot dog.
Snapper. Red snapper.
Red snapper.
Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go.
1 for 2.
All right. This hunting breed, which is sometimes referred to as the Little Brown Devil, is the state dog of South Carolina.
Say that again.
This hunting breed of a dog, which is sometimes referred to as the Little Brown Devil, is the state dog for South Carolina. I didn't even know they had state dogs.
No. My guess would be a basset hound.
It's a Boykin Spaniel.
Never even heard of a Boykin.
No?
Nope. Never heard
I've
of it.
heard of them, but I don't know if I've ever even like seen one as a hunting dog.
Man.
I don't know what they hunt either. We should maybe look that up.
Boykin burgers. Do you want me to read this, or are you looking it up?
I'm gonna look it up quick, but you can read it.
I'll throw some fillers in here.
Wild turkeys and ducks in the swamplands. Developed in South Carolina.
Nice.
It's an all-around gun dog adept at flushing and retrieving.
Let me
It
see
looks
that
like a
thing.
little brown devil.
Oh yeah! Holy crap! That thing is actually kind of intimidating.
Kind of crazy.
If you haven't seen one, look it up because its eyes are like
Well, they look like they're red, like kind of
devil.
like devil eyes.
Devil.
Crazy.
Deville. What type of biologist studies reptiles and amphibians?
Oh, an anthropologist.
I don't think that's right. No. I'm not going to totally butcher this. Herpetologist.
Yeah, I don't know if that's right either.
Herpetologist? How do you say that?
Herpetologist?
Herpetologist?
That's not
Interesting.
what I would have expected.
Yeah, if anybody is one of those, we apologize for butchering your title.
What is the top cause of death in national parks? Falling, drowning, or vehicle crashes?
Falling.
Drowning.
Whoa. That's
That's
actually,
one of the worst ways to die, I feel like.
I would agree.
That'd be
I
horrible.
think I'd rather fall.
Horrible.
Yeah. This 3-word movement, which encourages people to be mindful of their impact on nature, became a conservation organization in 1994.
Oh, boy.
3-word movement.
I really don't know.
The Leave No Trace.
Oh, okay.
I definitely
I've heard of it.
Do
I
know that
definitely
one.
know that. Yeah, I didn't.
I guess we're gonna have to like actively look into some.
conservationists.
This is stuff that we could like look into. I feel like
Yeah.
and then talk about.
Yeah, the Leave No Trace Act.
Yeah,
How it originated.
yeah.
What the impacts are.
There'd be
Like,
some fun
pretty cool,
factuations
yeah.
for the cast here.
all right, this is a fun one to test your fishing knowledge here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it because we're big bass fishermen.
And I'm not. God damn it.
What two fish hybridized to create a mean-mouth bass?
Boy. I don't even have a guess. I don't think.
It's so easy.
Crappie and a crappie and a God, what body? A catfish.
It's literally just a largemouth and a smallmouth.
Oh, actually,
Simple.
what's the actual fish?
Mean-mouth?
Oh, it's called a mean mouth.
Yeah.
Again, never heard of a
Mean-mouth
mean mouth.
bass, yeah.
Have you ever caught a mean mouth?
I don't think so. I don't think I would know, like, I feel like they would look so close, like if you were just to catch one, that you maybe wouldn't really know unless you were, like, really paying super close attention.
Don't you?
I don't know. We don't get too many smallmouth around here, so it's not really something that, like...
I'm pulling up a picture here because I'm curious just to see what. Oh, that's
It's literally just like a largemouth with a smallmouth mouth. Like, it's got the spots and, like, the lateral lines like a largemouth.
it's cool looking.
Yeah. I guess it does have, like, that gold, like, hybrid striping that the smallmouth has on the back.
I don't know if y'all can see that. That's it. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Look it up if you can't see it on the video there. But
I'll be honest, I think really the only smallmouths I've caught have been down when I went down to Missouri.
sure.
We don't get them much around here.
Yeah, it's all big
You
mouth.
gotta push north.
And you don't in the summer. Well, you push way north in the
Oh, yeah,
summer.
right.
And there's no bass
push
in
way
Canada.
past the. Well, there are, but not where we're at.
Not near Canada.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I think that was a fun little segment.
I liked it.
It does make me want to like actually sit down and play it for like a. I think a drinking game would be awesome out of that.
I think you're getting pretty drunk.
I think so too. You'd have to have like a rule every like 3 you get wrong, you take a drink instead of every 1.
Yeah, because you're going to be hammered after about 20 minutes of playing.
Because we didn't do very good on that.
No. I would have finished a beer.
Yeah. All right, so now that that is out of the way and we feel stupid, let's talk about something that we know a little bit about.
Ice fishing?
Just nothing. The podcast is over.
Yeah. So it was. Thanks for tuning in.
Nice talking to you guys. We're gonna shamefully exit.
Yeah. So we just ended. What did we do last? You ended goose season.
Yep.
That would have been
Thursday, so the day after we recorded.
Okay. So Maxie went out and did that. I actually went fishing. I didn't have super high hopes. Plus, I'm a greenhorn anyways when it comes to the whole goose and duck hunting. I just started this year, so I said, nah, you have a good run. It's your passion, and I'd just get in the way anyways because they were going to kill so many geese and ducks. Well, not ducks, just geese. But how'd you do?
Not good. I went out and I set up. It was like 9:30 when I went out and set up, and I knew like we were down to very, very few birds. Like our local birds were all sitting on the river. They weren't even leaving town, and it was just kind of a prayer, you know, like at the off chance that we get a migration push. Like there were still birds up in Hutchinson and like places north of us that were still killing birds. So I was like, whatever. Like there's obviously birds north of us. If we happen to have some birds that push down, like we might as well try. And it was a nice day. So we went out and we set a nice spread out and tried. We saw 2 birds that my party is convinced that they were geese. I'm not sold on it. They didn't even give us a look, so it wasn't, you couldn't really tell, but that was it. I mean, we gave it a good honest shot. It was fun way to like close out the season as far as just hanging out with, you know, good buddies that you hunt with and stuff, and it was pretty relaxed and pretty comfortable and everything. But you know, it would have been nice to close out on shooting a few more birds, but it is what it is. And you were sitting there blowing up my phone pretty much the whole afternoon. I think you got out fishing at 1:30, and pretty much ever since you were just like, dude, it's hot. We like
Yeah, I knew he was kind of sitting a little stale, so I was trying to just get him. I wasn't sure how he was feeling about it. So I'm like, oh, well, if you're bored, they were biting good. I got on a ton of crappies pretty much from 1:30 till, God, what time do we leave?
it was almost 9 because we barely made it to the bar for food.
Yeah. So I ended up being out there from 1:30 till almost 9 that day, which was pretty fun. That was a good, relaxing day.
We packed up, we went home, dropped the goose trailer off, and went straight to the lake.
Yeah.
Met you out there.
Yeah, and that worked good. I hoofed it a ways, though, because we had been on this lake previously, a week before that?
Yeah, that was the same lake we talked about finding all the suspended fish up on the basin.
Yeah. So that was good. I ended up walking all the way out to that spot we had went, which originally we had taken the track sled.
You forget how much of a hike that was. I was
Cool
like, holy
stuff.
fuck, you know, like I had it marked on Onyx Fish, and I didn't know you were at that same spot, and then I saw you flashing your light while I was walking out, and I'm like, holy fuck, he's a long ways off. Like,
I fucking
Jesus.
And I hoofed it right off the bat. I didn't stop.
Yeah.
I pulled the big hub shelter out because I kind of figured people were gonna come out. So I'm like, screw it, I'll bring the hub. Man, I am not 25 anymore. I am out of shape immensely. But got out there, I popped a couple holes. The first 2 were a little stale. I marked a couple. They were the high roamers again. So I'm like, okay, cool. So they're kind of doing the same thing. And then it was cool. I'm just using the Vexilar, mind you. And I could tell there'd be like a pod of bait fish. I'd mark my screen like
just
10
light up
foot
like a
off the
freaking
bottom,
Christmas tree.
and then all of a sudden, mark after mark after mark on the highs, and I'd just pick them off. It was fun. So I was doing that. I got into a couple 12s, and then like 10s were pretty common for the most part after that. So yeah, it was a good day. I probably drilled 50 holes, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a blast. It's been a long time since I spent 8 hours fishing. So
Yeah, and that was nice. I took Dan. So Dan hunted with me a little bit in the morning, and then she had some errands to run, and then she came out fishing with us, and she was able to get on her first crappies of the year too, which was nice. So that was a huge win. So Thursday was a pretty successful day. Now, mind you, it started raining as we were packing up,
oh yeah, that's right.
and then it pissed rain all day Friday.
Mm-hmm. That sucked.
And it sucked. And we were sitting here like, oh God, like it's warm rain. It was kind of, I mean, like I said, Thursday was a really nice day. Friday, it was like 40 something.
48. It was warm.
Saturday, it was warm. Me and Danny went out Saturday, hopped around. We went to Henniker, which that was just kind of a prayer. It was like they dumped all those rainbow trout into it last January. And their goal was to have people take, it was catch and harvest was kind of the concept with the rainbows. And I just kind of assumed that, and I'm sure there are, but some of them probably made it through the winter and made it through the summer.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh, they're fun to catch. They're awesome.
Yeah, that was a blast. We got into them last year.
I kind of hope they do it again this year, but we got skunked out there. And maybe it was bad luck because they found a dead person there the day before.
Yeah, that's super exciting when you hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
My God.
Small town. It's not really super small town, but it's small town for us. Like, you find a dead body on the shoreline of a local pond, and it's kind of like, kind of eerie now that I sit and think about it. Like,
Yeah, a lot around this area, or around that area where they found it too, around Henniker there, it's pretty populated. So
yeah.
for them to find a body, that's a little sketchy.
Yeah, it's a little concerning. So maybe that was just our kind of bad omen floating over our head for fishing there. But we went and got lunch and then hit one of our little hidden gem lakes after that and found a pile of fish and leaned into them pretty good. And then Monday, you and I went out there again and just hopped around all day, basically. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got out there, I don't even remember what time we got out there, but we fished until 4.
Yeah, I think it was like pretty much noon-ish we
Yeah.
got out there.
And again, kind of warm. It was a nice day for us to be jumping around. None of our holes froze up from
Saturday.
Mm-hmm. So we went 2 days basically with warm enough weather to not lock any of those holes up, which was nice. We probably only punched, I don't know, a dozen holes come Saturday or come Monday. But we leaned into them pretty good there. And then I went out with a couple of buddies again there yesterday and I got into some really good crappies. We had 3 over 12. Pretty much everything we kept was in the 10 to 12 range or over.
And that's the best we've seen on that lake this year so far.
Yeah, it was reassuring, and it was cold and windy yesterday, and we actually stayed hunkered down in the pop up, and we actually sat on those fish for pretty much the whole day, which is weird for that lake.
Yeah,
normally
that's
you
not
just
common.
have to chase. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we could have, every time you looked around with the live scope, it was piles of just strings and strings of fish in every direction, but yeah, we were able to stay on them. But I think that's something cool to talk about too, is like how we fished them Monday. We just used the live scope in a central location, and we just took our old school sonars, the flashers, and just dunked it in a hole, and if there was fish there, we fished it. And we just did that all day long.
Yeah, and I, as usual, caught more on my traditional flasher than Max usually does on the live scope, just because I think it's, it's better.
Which will bring us into our second new segment.
The debate.
The debates. So we agree on a lot of things. We agree on, places where live sonar and traditional are beneficial in every direction.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to kind of come up with a couple of things that you could argue, and we're going to basically pick one out of a hat and debate against each other for a little bit on what we think is better.
Yeah, and
which this one might get a little rowdy.
I'm gonna punch you in the head.
We might fight here. If you guys see anything, just let it go.
I personally am. I personally think, I do like the live scope. I will say, just to start my argument off, I do like it for exactly what we did.
Yeah.
I like just pointing and shooting the thing. Sitting on top of it is great for a little while, but something I can appreciate about the old school flashers is you do have to actually kind of work for it, which to me makes it feel more like actual fishing. Not just like cheating. I feel like live scope's a little bit of cheaty. Because you don't know what's down there. You don't know if it's facing you or not. So you just have a little line and you read your marks and where it's at, and kind of you learn to kind of decipher what these things are telling you. And to me, that's more fun than always knowing what's underneath you, and arguably sometimes less frustrating.
Yeah. Okay. My thing with the live scope is, one, so much easier to stay on top of fish. Right? Like, we're talking your cone angle on your traditional is peanuts compared to what the live scope can do from a viewing range. Right? So you can see so much more. Which also leads to more fish caught because you can stay on top of them for longer. Two, I think from an educational standpoint, you can actually learn a lot from a presentation standpoint, a fish responsive standpoint. You can learn to separate these are active fish, these are inactive fish. You can adjust your presentation based on that. You're turning red, buddy. And then two, yes, you can actually tell once you get good at reading it what species you're looking at, which, tell me if this is wrong. If you were if there were no suspended fish on that lake that you were on, and you were just marking all of those bottom dwellers, and you just sat and tried to fish them all day long off of your flasher, how frustrating would that have been?
I don't know.
You can take one look at live scope and say, those are not the fish that I want to be fishing, and then you just don't fish them, and then you don't get pissed off.
Yeah, but I don't get pissed off, see? Never. Yeah, but here's the yabba. I would have just moved.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've done...
After getting frustrated at not catching those fish.
No, because I was out there long enough for the day. I was out there for the day. I put in a work shift out there.
Yeah.
So I would have had no problem continuing to do what I was doing, which was drilling holes and moving around. I had this big square cut out, and I was just boop, 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 but back and forth. I knew how the fish worked in that lake from years of just trial and error.
Yeah. But see, now you take into
without a live scope.
You take into consideration the people who don't have that, and they're sitting there, I'm marking fish, I should sit on these.
I'd argue you should do the due diligence anyways.
Sure.
I think you should have to start at a rudimentary, it is a little frustrating because it's called fishing, not catching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're not catching fish, that's just part of the game. If everybody and their brother had a live scope, we wouldn't have any more fish to fucking catch in the lakes.
That's not true.
That's so true.
That is not true.
It's
because
true.
There's been how many times we've had the live scope out and you still can't catch them.
Which I would argue is because it's too much frequency.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. You just saw that on Instagram and now you're throwing that in my face.
Well, I seen it a couple weeks ago and then I started to think about it, and then I was kind of testing it with where you were at a week ago on the same lake where I was at. And they seemed to kind of come to my hole more than yours. And we were 10 feet apart.
Sure.
I'm just saying, I think there's something to be said.
All right, now all of our banter aside, there's tools for everything. And
Mine's just better than yours.
yours can't tell you where the fish are.
Sure it can. It's the lines.
I think it's hilarious when you see people like swinging their old school transducer trying to get the cone to tip. Like, oh, mine just does that normally.
Stick your arm down the hole and
You're
just
pointing it in different
point at it.
directions.
I'd agree. There's a place for everything.
Yes,
but
and I think like the way that we've really started using it is the ideal place for it. Like I will say, like when you're shacked up and you can have like a line of holes and everybody can look off of it and it's deep enough to where, you know, you're not influencing the fish because of the frequency and whatnot. It is kind of cool. You know, you can see four jigs off of one transducer. Not everybody has to have a screen.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that we've been using it, and I still love my old school flasher. It's way lighter. That's a huge bonus. I'm surprised you didn't even argue that one.
It's all right.
The flasher's so much lighter.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
You should have. That should have been
yeah.
that should have been like a number one argument point.
That
on
is
The
oh
live
my
scope
god.
is so fucking heavy.
The other day this would have been 3 weeks now already, but when we went out on the little other lake and they were pretty stagnant out there, so we kind of ran around a little bit, and of course, you know, Max gets to carry the fucking auger.
Well, that's the thing. You're carrying a fishing pole, an auger, a live scope, and another fishing pole. Like you have to have two guys.
Yeah, you just carry the auger, and I carried both fishing poles and the fucking live scope. So I don't know where your fishing pole was, but I'm pretty sure it was in my hand, carrying your heavy stupid unit.
So after we kind of came to that conclusion that like carrying that big lug around isn't needed,
Mm-hmm.
and we started using it in like a central location and just pointing and fishing off of the flashers,
Mm-hmm.
like it's just as effective as if you were carrying the thing around, but you don't have to carry it around.
I actually did like that method a lot better because you can just get to where you're going, and you can carry a couple poles if you need to. Then
Yeah.
you're just carrying this. You know, I got my Vexler in the bag, and I got one rod holder on it, and then I can carry my other rod,
Yeah.
and then you can just carry your flasher and your own fucking pole
Right.
and the auger.
And that's the other thing too that we noticed, like because our ice conditions have dwindled a little bit, we're kind of back to that like no cover on top. It's not super thick ice, so like you do kind of have to take into consideration that they might be a little bit spooky.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get out there, you can pop one hole, you can put the live scope down, you can grid out and go drill all your holes,
Gritty.
let them settle, and then come back and fish them with the flashers. So by the time you get all your holes drilled, all the fish have kind of resettled, and you can just look around and see, okay, 20 feet that way, we already have a hole, go drop the flasher, go catch them.
Yeah.
And it works really well.
That was super effective and more enjoyable, I'd say, too, because then you both can kind of... I'd go back and kind of check one area, and then I'd kind of head over that way. Max would go back, check his area, and we were kind of not necessarily on top of each other then either, to where we could harvest more fish or whatever.
And like we still drilled holes that were still close to each other sometimes too, like so if you're 30 feet apart but one guy puts his flasher down, it's like, dude, I got a pile of them here, there's a hole 3 feet, 4 or 5 feet next to me, pop, drop down there, see if you got the same, and you can fish a big school that way all the same. So I think that worked really, really well. I think that's a cool way to utilize both of them.
Yeah. And then one's not sitting in the bag the whole winter either.
Yeah.
Because I know last year we didn't do anything like that. It was pretty much primarily just using the live scope, which is fine. But at least now I feel like I'm using the expensive shit I have too.
The other annoying thing that we're doing it this way now, is now I have to bring live scope and a flasher, which is it's one more thing to pack. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, they're small, light units. It's not that big of a deal, but
yeah, with the smaller sled, it was Not that we had to walk far on the lake we were on, but that thing was packed.
Yeah, it was tight.
So, which you could, I have the bigger sled, so we could have just
Yeah.
flip flop. We knew we weren't going to sit in the portable anyways.
Yeah, it was more so it was like, okay, let's take the smallest thing that fits in the bed of the truck, not load it down.
Yeah.
And I think we were a lot better about like we only took a couple of rods. We took like 3 rods a piece or something like that.
Yeah.
We were better at like, just bringing what you need kind of thing.
Lugging them big fishing boxes sometimes can just be a huge pain in the ass, I feel like.
Yeah.
Which you started doing
Need another
one? I would love another one, yeah.
Cleaned out the fridge, dude.
You did. So we're not getting poisoned anymore.
No
Great.
mold in the beer cooler.
Awesome. This guy had more mold than a goddamn mushroom factory.
It sat after we moved. I must have had something that spilt in there or something, and it sat in my garage all summer long. And just fucking baked and cooked up some gunk.
It was grubby. And
But
then
she's clean now.
He was drinking out of it, and his wife told him knock it off.
Yeah, she said, nah, hard no.
So she didn't have to bury you.
Yeah.
But no, we've had some good outings this year. Kind of started off pretty skunky, but we're thinking about heading back to said lake to check it out again because I would argue,
There's
a little
some-
better ice.
There's better ice, and there's some rumors going around.
It sounds like may or may not have picked up. I would like to be the judge of that,
Yeah.
but
Like you said, though, like it's kind of scary. You go back to something that made you want to jump off a cliff.
twice.
Yeah, and the third time really might just push me over the edge.
It almost feels like that fool me once.
Yeah.
But then again, that's fishing.
That's fishing. No, I think we should go try to hash it out one more time and just really give it the old college try.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's gotten a lot better. Which we might have just been too early, which just feels so crazy, but like we might have just been premature.
Yeah, which I have a tendency to do anyways.
Just the life we live.
If you ask
you
my
know,
wife, she'll let you know. Premature.
Probably pretty relatable.
You get yours, I got mine.
Yeah. Did she get hers though? Did she? But did she?
I'm not answering that. I always make sure.
Gotta do it, even if it's after the fact.
Double tap.
Oh, should we bring back some current events, dude? I liked when we did that.
Yeah, I missed it. We were talking about it the other day, and I'm just like, we gotta bring it back. So, what is in current events? Because I definitely came ill prepared, other than some drop throughs all over the place.
Yeah, you got some like random ones cooped up, but I think first current event is it's the new year.
Happy New Year.
Hopefully all of your New Year's resolutions include getting outside more.
Yeah,
Because
outdoors
that's on ours.
is definitely a good clutch way to be better.
Yeah. I think too, we were just talking about we're not 25 anymore. Health, wellness, stuff like that. That's always on the forefront of people's minds in the new year, which it's a great time to plug a sponsor.
Sponsorship drop.
We have the pleasure of working with Mountain Off Supplements now, which is a pretty cool brand, and I've been familiar with them for a while, and I've been kind of slowly introducing you to them. They are a very, very cool brand that basically makes supplements that are made to support outdoor journeys, which is cool. I utilize them for like my actual workouts and training, but they also have stuff like Deep Slumber and Ignite and things like that that are really good. Like Deep Slumber is like a sleep aid. So like if you're out camping out in the wilderness, like before a hunt or something like that, or you're out and doing an elk hunt or something like that, or you're camping somewhere out in the mountains, like cool little sleep aid, like rejuvenating supplement, energy supplements. Like they're super dope, and like they have a lot of different like dual purposes to where you can utilize them as like just an everyday energy supplement or an everyday recover type sleep supplement. Like they're pretty sweet. And like we were talking about, I mean, we can all have a little bit more endurance and a little bit more energy and carry around a little less weight when we're doing shit like this. So
You calling me fat?
I think you called yourself fat.
Well, doesn't mean you can.
I didn't say it. But that was like, I really started using their stuff like during the duck season when I was walking through the swamps, and I was like, holy shit, like this is stuff that I would sprint through normally.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh God, like this sucks. You know, like you're gassed and you're sweating after doing it. Same thing with pulling the sled long ways and stuff. Like health and fitness is huge, and they are on the forefront of health and fitness outdoor supplements.
Yeah, and that's kind of the pitch that sells me more than anything, because everybody and their brother's got one. And to me, it kind of narrows down for what I'm into.
Right. Yes.
And what I need this
it's a
type of
niche
stuff
market. And like I said a long time ago, you know, like I'm never ever gonna do the bodybuilding stuff again.
Mm-hmm.
Could care less about it.
Yeah, you sucked.
Yeah, I was a shitty person. Hated myself. But like, does everybody want to be able to do the things they enjoy and do it more easily? Yeah, that was it.
Easiler?
More easily, and just feel better while they're doing it. Like through the hunting season and ice fishing season, like we were just talking about how shitty like our shoulders feel, and like pulling that big ass sled together with just one arm, and then there was like one spot on each of us on opposite sides that just like starts cramping and locking up, and like
You were like two 90-year-old men out there pulling
Yeah,
the goddamn
it's
sled out the
embarrassing.
lake. Granted,
You know?
no, it was slushy because it had been raining.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
it
argue
did suck.
didn't make us not look like total schlubs here, but it definitely could have been better on our own part.
Yeah.
And so I think supplementing something like this into your life that actually can benefit you specifically for outdoor
What
use.
you're doing,
and,
yeah.
they're just a little more, like Max said, niche to the market, and niche to our
I think,
passions.
You know, I sold supplements for 10 years of my life. I know the marketing strategies. They've hit this one on the head as far as like hitting this demographic. Like, but I do like, again, I sold supplements for 10 years. I know a quality product when I see it too. Mm-hmm. And I'm more than impressed with how these guys are formulating their stuff. And I feel great when I take it.
Yep.
So huge shout out to them. Like I said, I think being more healthy and more physically fit when we're doing these things outside, it's never going to hurt.
So again, the name is Mountain Ops. If you're looking to get yourself into it, go on their website there. Do we have a plug?
Yes, that will be linked in the description. There's no like formal code or anything like that. Just follow the link. We'll have that down below. I'll do a little thing in the middle of the screen here that shows kind of some of the stuff that I use, probably like a screen recording or something of their website, and showing stuff that I highly recommend. So for sure, check them out because
Put it right. Here.
we touched tips.
Dude, just tip touching.
So that's kind of part of our New Year's resolution. Whatever you guys have for New Year's resolutions, comment it below because we'd love to hear.
Yeah, what are you guys trying to do better? What are you guys trying to do more of, do less of, whatever it is? I know I had a really good buddy of mine who his big thing was like actually just spending more time at home and less time busting his ass working all the time. So big shout out to Cody, whom I'm actually wearing his shirt, his sweatshirt. Inspired Design Contracting. So if you guys are looking for a good contractor,
Back to back shameless plugs.
dude, shameless plugs. Shameless plugs.
Gotta support the people that support us.
We're not yet sponsored by my buddy Cody, but they do a great job. Look them up online. They
Who's a good dude.
flip houses and remodel houses and so on and so forth. And man, they have created some very intricate bougie ass shit. So unsponsored ad just because I'm wearing the sweatshirt. So.
Yeah, good dude. But yeah, stay home more. But
Staying
also
home is
get
good.
out more.
Stay home, spend more time with your family. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what you're doing.
And maybe that's what you do. Spend it outdoors.
Do anything but other than ice fishing because there's too many people doing it
Yeah, stay away from.
now. No, I'm just kidding.
How about ice condition updates? Speaking of ice fishing,
So we're actually doing okay. Surprisingly,
Negative Nancy over here thought everything was just gonna
my
freaking
ass.
wither away.
Oh man, you know, I'm just real, and usually if I'm real, especially if I say it out loud, when it doesn't
You
happen,
just
it
have
makes
this
me feel better.
weird way of being negative when you say it out loud.
It's not. It's actually really positive because then when it doesn't happen, it's a great thing, right?
Yeah, and it's like, ooh, pot of gold at the end of the.
If you expect dog
Really
shit and you get a brick of gold instead, aren't you better off?
I suppose,
I mean, how much more important is that brick of gold now?
except for like the 48 hours that you're just beating yourself up thinking the worst thing possible.
Yeah. So mental health awareness.
New Year's resolution: be more positive.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I've become more negative in my old age, I guess.
Yeah,
Oh well.
just a crabby old. Stay off my lawn.
Get off my ice. No, everything's good. We maintain a solid 9 pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like at least 9, and then other spots still maintain that 10 plus.
Let's preface good because we did have a couple accidents over the last weekend.
But not by us.
No. But there were local situations where people didn't respect the dwindling conditions due to the rain. And, there were a couple of side-by-sides that went into the lake.
Yeah,
So-
there was one up, I think it's by the cities. Don't quote me on this. I seen just a post recently, and it was like an ATV pulling a little skid house behind it. And they went over a berm or a heave,
Yeah.
which don't do. Don't do that.
No,
Don't drive over ice heaves. It's just not smart.
that's
You're gonna
red
fail.
flag for weakened ice.
Yeah.
Gorman had one that went in. And then Big Twin down by Trimont had one too last weekend.
There's a couple places up by Winnie there. I seen they closed their roads for just temporarily.
Couple on Red Lake that did the same.
Yeah, and that was as of like yesterday for Winnie. And
Yeah.
Red Lake, I think, was already 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So by now they probably, and especially by the time this launches,
Correct.
more
By the
than
time
likely
you
they'll
hear
be
this,
open.
it should be better. Yeah.
Do your due diligence.
Yes.
As far as traveling, especially, because I know a lot of the southern Minnesotans down here, we're kind of just forced to travel up north right now. These last
Yeah.
2 winters have been miserable for us. So if you've got bigger houses, you're forced to take them up north. So call ahead and make sure wherever you're headed are good to go. Even
Yeah.
if you're like, well, I booked it 2 weeks ago and they're fine. Well, after this weather like this, just double check so you don't get pimped when you get up there.
That and two, like all of us down here in southern Minnesota, Iowa, anything south of the cities. I know you have castles. I know you have permanent houses. I know, like, if you got machines that make it a lot easier to travel, yes, it's convenient using all of that stuff. Use your brain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a while, like over the past weekend with the rain, I wouldn't recommend anything more than foot traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Let it recoup. If we had conditions that possibly dwindled the ice, let's take a step back. Let's be safe, be smart. At the end of the day, like,
Is that why we haven't been using the track sled, you sleazy bitch?
no, I'm not too worried about the track sled. But
Whatever,
also,
dude.
we've been fishing places that are close walks too. Like
Yeah. Except for
hashtag health fitness, hashtag cardio.
you should make it a point to walk anyways. This is actually a thought I had at the beginning of the season. We were running the track sled.
We got lazy.
We did. Running the track sled right off the bat. And I'm like, well, shit, this is kind of the time of year I actually end up losing 5 to 10 pounds because normally we're hoofing it, especially on that bay we fish that we might go revisit. That's a walk to get to
It's a
the
mission.
fish. Yeah. And it's not a short walk. It's not a fun walk.
No.
But
But
I
yeah,
was-
in years past, we
we
do
always
is walk
do
it. Yeah.
Always walk it. And this year we haven't walked all but the recent one, which is surprising.
Yeah, and then other than that one when I had the tracks let out goose hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was really the only one that was like a hike that we actually walked.
That was
but,
rough.
You know, our little hidden gem's pretty damn close to the landing. That one we really don't ever need the tracks let on.
No, I wouldn't
But-
say so.
Some of those other ones, but yeah, like you said, those are walks that we've made before that shouldn't be that big of a deal.
We're not doctors, but fucking a walk.
Get your steps in, boys and girls.
Mm-hmm. Let's be healthier this year. We'll walk every other from now till we can drive,
And then just drive.
and then just drive.
So yeah, just be smart. Like I said, if we get warm weather, you get a bunch of rain. Yes, maybe things were great. Maybe you were driving ATVs. Maybe it's, let's take a step back and reevaluate.
Obviously, watch your heaves. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And then watch any like fracture healing areas. So like those big boy cracks that you can tell are there and have kind of healed over a little bit. Still be a little leery right
They're
now.
not as good as the rest of the ice.
Correct.
It's just like using logic.
Yeah,
it's
that's
important.
science, people.
Just think a little.
Just use your fucking brain.
Yeah.
No, the last thing we want anybody outdoors, people, new people coming out to this thing is just, if you don't know, ask.
Yeah.
And
there's no sense in anybody getting hurt over this shit.
no, it's recreational. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how passionate you are about it. It's recreational.
Yeah.
So let's keep it recreational. Stay out of the water.
Yeah. Probably a good time being we're talking about southern Minnesota stuff. There were some rule changes, some legality stipulations.
Assholes. What?
We were just talking about it's all really good stuff. Rule changes never feel fun. You feel like, somebody's trying to control you, whatever, blah blah blah.
We're there. We get it.
Yeah, but I'm on board with these changes, and I think it's something that arguably maybe we should have talked about previously already, but we're going to talk about them now because we're talking about current events. The DNR has decided in Minnesota to change a limit structure, which I can really appreciate.
I'd agree. Some of these lakes get overfished. There's a big one down here that we fished that is already being just fucking murdered.
Pounded.
And people are taking their limit every single time they leave that lake, and they're going out once a day, every day. And it's fine. I get it. We all love fishing. I'm not against you grabbing fish out of the lake. That's not the point.
No, and there's a point where that's important too. Sustainable harvest is equally as important. But there are some lakes that are getting absolutely decimated with pressure and harvest rate.
Right.
That some of these changes needed to be made.
Yep.
Right.
Essentially, we're just trying to not take all of the fish out of the lake. That's what it boils down to. And it does happen. It happens a lot, especially through COVID and everything. There was a huge influx, especially in ice fishing. There's more people than I've ever seen, especially early season, like right now. I don't know if I've ever seen this many growing up, doing it my whole life. And this early in the season, there's already, you're seeing, instead of seeing 3 people on a lake, which you would more,
30.
Yeah, you're seeing 30. So we 10x'd it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But with that, and with more interest in it, it just means we have to take our shares, and our shares need to be lowered a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's not always a bad thing.
So, highly recommend looking up the new regulations, which you should arguably do every year anyways. There are certain lakes, none that are necessarily super close to us in southern Minnesota, but there are plenty of lakes that have legitimately number changed your daily limit. So your crappies aren't 10 anymore, they're maybe 5 on this specific lake. But across the board, they have made the change to match your daily limit to your possession limit. which is different from what it used to be as far as you could have possession of double your daily limit, which doesn't necessarily resolve anything, which is where the devil's advocate in me comes into play. Like, people can still go out, harvest a full daily limit, come home, eat all of those fish, and rinse, wash, and repeat. But there's also a lot of people like us where we harvest, a limit, sit on it for a handful of days, arguably sometimes too long.
Yeah.
No. And which just in turn means over the past week, we go out and we fish, and we can't keep fish, which is fine, right? We still do this as a hobby. We still do this for fun. We don't need to keep fish every time.
Yeah, I like catch and release, actually. Especially if you're in a lake that you're trying to keep.
Does that hurt the fish, though?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good.
Fish are fine. And just pull it out of their mouth. Nice. If they gobbled it, Jesus Christ, and you rip half the shit out with it, maybe take that fish home with
Yes.
you. That's probably a good idea. Don't be that guy. Also, to whomever in this area took a bucket of fish and dumped it on the fucking access and left them, if I find out who you are,
yourself.
I'm going to fucking kick you in the head.
Yeah.
Don't be a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but goddamn,
This
that
stuff
pisses
gets us riled up. I think another noteworthy point from that standpoint is that little hidden gem lake that we were fishing. Not a ton of people fish that, but the fish that are being caught out of that, if you can't release those fish safely, you should be harvesting them. And if you have no intention of harvesting them, you shouldn't be fishing them.
Yeah, that's a big problem. There's a deeper spot in it. Fish are being pulled up and their swim bladders are popping.
The barotrauma is a huge issue.
Yeah.
And if you have no intention of harvesting fish from deeper holes, I get it's fun catching fish. It's not fun knowing that you're killing fish every time you catch them.
And then not harvesting.
Correct. So it is one of those lakes where you may catch a significant amount of small fish. And if you are pulling them out of those deeper basins, you're probably killing them.
Yep. We notice that a lot ourselves, actually. Just something to be mindful of, really. When you're fishing deep spots, especially panfish, that's a really big one, is panfish, because they're just easy to disrupt that swim bladder.
It's a smaller, less hardy fish.
Yeah.
It is equally as important from every fish species standpoint, but we're noticing it a lot in the panfish population, especially because we're finding a lot of panfish in these deeper basins right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, sure, that might be where the fish are, but if you don't have any intention of harvesting fish, you maybe shouldn't be fishing there. Right? Like, at the end of the day, if you're killing even 10-20% of those fish that you catch, that's a huge issue.
It just disrupts lake populations and stuff. I don't know. Like, it is a sport, but it's also, you're still harvesting an animal at the end of the day. Like, yeah, they're fish. I'm not I'm not all about the activism, like, stuff either, but also I'm passionate about this sport, and I'd like to see these lakes maintain fish.
Correct.
And I'd like to see these lakes have good fish and keep the generational, like the bigger ones, alive. And you just have to be mindful in general.
We all love catching a 12-inch crappie, but a 12-inch crappie doesn't turn into a 12-inch crappie by happenstance. Like, if those 6-inch fish that are getting caught out of the basin just keep dying, you don't have that much potential for a 12-inch crappie. Right. So it's,
especially when you're throwing back these like eights and 10s. I mean, if you're throwing those puppies back and they're just dying under the ice,
I would rather see somebody take those home than to have them just die under the ice.
Yeah. Just be mindful of it. Pay attention. A good way to judge it too, and this is how we figured it out. We pulled a couple fish. We released a couple fish. Now, we're not screaming them off the bottom. We're We're mindful of how deep we're fishing.
Yes,
That's a good way to do it. Take your
time.
You don't have to reel them all the way up off the bottom in 10 seconds. That's
No.
not the game. Keep your line tight. Keep reeling. You know.
Sure, it might be less fun. You're not getting like, yeah, you might spend a minute reeling a fish up, but that's the responsible way to reel that fish up.
Mm-hmm. And again, not to sound like the goddamn fish police, but
no,
it's just something to be mindful of.
Yes.
Like if you continue to like be mindful and think in a conservative manner or a conservationist manner, like we're all going to do better ultimately.
Yes.
We're all going to have better years of fishing. We're not going to go out on these lakes that previously have been really great and them be overfished or big die-outs, like stuff like that. Because I know personally 3 lakes over in the Faribault area, Kilkenny, Faribault, that direction. There's lakes that I grew up fishing on as a kid and they're dead now. There's nothing in them anymore. And it was absolutely that. They got overfished, overharvested, and now there's nothing there.
Yep.
You won't catch them. You won't see them. So it's just something to be mindful of. You want to go back out next year? Then fucking do the due diligence.
Yeah.
Be a little better person.
And I think too, like, look for the obvious signs. I mean, if we're talking barotrauma still, like if you're reeling a fish up and it comes up with big buggy eyes that look like they're blown out of the head,
take that fish home.
Take that fish home. And if you try to release a fish and it rolls belly up right away, take that fish home.
Mm-hmm.
It might sit in the hole and kick off eventually. It's going to roll up underneath the ice.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't make it down to its depth in a reasonable time manner, that fish is probably not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the sad truth about it.
Well, and also, you can't save every fish. I get that too.
Correct.
But
yes.
like,
shit happens. I get it. But if we, like you said, if we can be mindful of it and, you know, be conscious of it.
Just think about it a little bit and it just helps.
You know, my rule of thumb was always like 30 feet was kind of that like borderline point of barotrauma.
Mm-hmm.
We even noticed some of those fish that are suspended over 30 feet that were showing signs of it that we harvested. We chose that was the best approach. But even fish that you were catching out of 18, 20 feet suspended over that basin that were showing signs of it, taking our time reeling them up and they were still showing signs of it. It's different in each scenario. You just have to be self-aware of it, right? Like you just have to be conscious of it.
It was weird. It was definitely kind of odd seeing what we did see, and like we did release a few of them and they ultimately came back out. Like we released a few of them that arguably looked fine and swam off fine, and then all of a sudden you look down again, you're fishing the same hole, and there it was in the bottom of the ice.
Yeah.
So it was definitely weird, but like once we noticed that, then we shifted. We changed our approach on what we were kind of going after,
Yep.
what our goal was.
And actually, like, ironically enough, we chose to upsize and be a little bit more choosy on, like, the fish that we were fishing on the sonar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we upsized to make sure that we were trying to bias bigger fish.
Mm-hmm.
We made sure that we were trying to fish the highest marks out of the school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just being conscious of things like that, like, knowing that your bigger fish are going to bite a bigger bait. They're going to be higher up. They're going to be slightly more aggressive as far as chasing baits higher up. Like, if we're going to harvest fish because they are going to show signs of barotrauma, we're going to try to bias quality fish in that same sense. You know, like I said, it's fun catching 100 fish, but going down with a small, tiny little jig with a single spike on it and catching every fish out of that school would have just sat and killed the entire school, which is not the point. That's
I want to fish next
bad.
year. You guys
Right.
want to fish next year.
Right.
Who's ever listening, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's pretty easy to say fuck it, and then I definitely was a fuck it fisherman when I was getting into it because I didn't know any better.
Right.
But once you start to learn these things and you realize, like, oh, this ultimately does make everyone's fishing experience better, you know, enacting different things like that into your routine and into your, it is a hobby, but again, you're still harvesting an animal, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fish. Not hugging the tree here. Just making the point. Like, if you want to continue to do that, especially with the volume of people doing it, we all kind of have to do a little bit of our part and, like,
Yeah.
understand this a little better.
And that's where I don't feel so bad about DNR kind of stepping in and controlling that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to have management to a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hate the whole possession daily limit thing anymore. You know, like, sure, you're not gonna have a stockpile of fish in your freezer, but you know what that means?
You get to go fishing more.
Exactly. You eat your fish, and now you get to go out and you get to go fish again.
Mm-hmm.
If you're fishing for a meal, that just means you get to fish more.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you get to go out 2 days in a row and smash them and stockpile your freezer for the summer or for the winter.
Yeah, and this is kind of aimed at almost a specific set of people, not necessarily everybody, because I know
Right.
a lot of people who are conscious of it, but, like, I think it's a lot of the newer people in the sport who either don't understand or have that straight up fuck it mentality and
Or the whole, like, gotta go catch a limit for a flex mentality. Like, every time they go out, they gotta keep a limit and, you know, post a bucket dump picture and, like, it's that's just not what it's all about.
fishing, not catching.
Yeah. And the other regulation Minnesota's put in place is another good one.
What are it?
Pick up after yourself.
Oh, God, yeah. That one's fucking no-brainer.
Zero tolerance policy.
I am going to get a group of people together to, like, figure out and pinpoint who these people are dumping their trash on the lakes.
Makes me so
We're going to come to your house and
mad.
whoop your ass.
Makes me so mad because this isn't, you know, like, I'm not a proponent to littering ever. Like, I don't like even people just throwing shit out their window.
No.
I don't like people pitching cigarettes out their window. Like, none of it. But when I find a spot that's, like, melted in, you know, there's 4 holes, it was very obvious somebody had a hub or a shelter pop there, and there's cans of fucking beer cans, and there's
Tin
empty
cans
wax worms, and
and
yeah, there's chew, and there's cigarette
snacks
butts
and
everywhere,
butts.
and
Clean
that
up after
shit-
yourself. This isn't a frat house.
once that ice melts, that goes directly into the lake.
Yeah.
This isn't just a fucking dump site. Like,
No.
it's not solid ground. This is something that impacts a whole ecosystem.
Also understand that DNR has pretty much full control over all wildlife and lake sanctuaries, right? It is very possible for them to shut down a lake.
Oh yeah, just entirely.
They can close it to
shut
traffic.
It down. Yep.
That is a thing. And if people continue to do this, they'll do that. Now, that's pretty extreme, obviously. I understand that, but
But obviously, it's getting to that point for them to have to come out and say, zero tolerance. If I see some sort of garbage on the ice from you, you're getting a ticket.
yep.
It's getting bad enough that we're at that point and we have to have this conversation.
Don't sink your beer cans. Don't throw your cigarette butts. Just put them in a bag. Carry. It's not that hard to crumple up a Walmart bag and carry it with you. We all got them. We all got a cover
90% of the time you stop at the gas station, you get a bunch of snacks, you got a bag.
Yep.
We have fucking 3 of them laying in the sled right now.
Don't be lazy. And if you see people doing it, call their shit out on them. That's something that I've always been super passionate of. I've spent many times, especially in the lakes I fish around here, when I'm pulling off the lake and I see this shit, like, I stop and I'm picking up other people's trash because I don't want it in my lake that I fish.
Yep.
And nor should you. If you enjoy fishing, even if it's just a little pastime that you do a couple times a year, have some goddamn common decency and just don't do that. Like,
Yeah, it's a respect thing, and, like, I don't know. It boils my blood to see people have zero respect for something that obviously they enjoy doing, but they don't care enough to support it.
You spent all this money for all this gear and this shit to do it, and, like, you go out and you harvest your limit, and then you dump all your trash in the ice. Like,
It's that, like, take mentality
Yeah, like you're owed it.
Yeah, like I'm gonna take, and I'm never gonna give back, and I'm not gonna give a fuck about it. Boy, it riles me up.
Yeah, that's one that's always been super touchy to me, and like growing up as a kid, even it was very well taught. Like my cousin who got me into it, it was like, if I see you throwing shit on the ice, you're gonna get punched in the head.
You clean up after yourself. You leave it better than you found it.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, like, we should try to make a point towards the end of the season to just kind of hit some of our local lakes and just clean up. I mean, as much as it fucking sucks and as much as it pisses us off, we can do our part. Like, if you see it, pick up after it.
Yeah, it sucks. It does. I always make a point to do it. It's not fun picking other people's shit up, but I do it because I don't want it. It's better than it sinking to the bottom of the lake.
Yeah. And you see like all these extreme, like the commercials where the, turtle's got a 6-pack plastic wrapped around its head or something, like, but that's the shit that actually, it legit happens. Like even like broken lures, like I've seen so many fish just wrapped up in just shit.
I caught it was a sunfish once, and it was actually tangled on line. It had grown into the line.
Yeah.
And it was dragging it behind, like it was a coil of it.
Yeah, and it literally like is deformed because of how wrapped around whatever part of the body it's kind of fucked.
And it was one of these local lakes, and I'm just like, no, it's not okay.
No, and I get, like we said, shit happens. You break a line off, like it might break in a weird spot. There might be a mess of line, but if you got a bird's nest and you cut it out and you throw it in the lake,
fuck you.
That's fucked.
I take it, and bear with me because it takes some time here. Ready? Oh, and there it went in the pocket. Just exactly. I throw it in my tackle bag.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while I clean out the spools of line out of my tackle bag.
Yeah, and I've thrown it in the bottom of the sled. I've done, like it makes a mess. Yeah, I get it. It sucks. It's stupid, but like.
But you brought it out there.
Don't throw it in the lake.
Take it with you. Take it with you. Take your shit out.
I'm all on board with them cracking down on it. Yep. I want to see more DNR people out checking licenses and checking for trash and doing this stuff. Like, we've got checked a couple times, but like, I really hope they start cracking down on this shit because it needs to stop.
Yeah, if you're not going to do your part, then you shouldn't be doing it.
No.
Sorry. You can't just come out here, and this is where the newcomers kind of piss me off a little bit. Not all of them, but like the people who just were looking for something to do, and so I just got into ice fishing, and now I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna fucking drink my ass off, party, and I am an advocate for partying on the ice. I really am.
It's fun. It's an really absolute blast. You get to do 2 super fun things at the same time.
Yep. It doesn't mean you can be a dickhead.
No.
It doesn't mean you can. It's not a frat house. It's ice. There's fish living in there. There's people fishing it. Clean up after yourself.
Yeah. Bottom line.
All right. We'll stop beating on that one. Sorry for the negativity on that one, but it's not. It's important.
No, it is, and it was just a good segment to talk about. It's new stuff that's going on around us.
It's part of what we believe in and part of why we started this podcast. It's exactly what we're passionate about, and it's exactly what we're pushing for. So
yeah, and it's a sustainability thing.
Sometimes you're gonna have to listen to us be mad. We're
just gripe.
Just dad and dad here.
Dad, have we even talked about that yet?
I don't know if we have. I was actually gonna ask that. This fella right here is going to be a father.
El Bebe.
And I couldn't be happier.
Oh, man. Crazy. Current event
for Indeed.
New baby Burl.
On the way. Everybody should drop a comment and say what you think it is. I think it's a girl.
Baby boy Burley.
It's a girl.
It's not a girl.
If anybody wants to send pink stuff to his house, I can get you his address.
No way. We'll get a P.O. box. We don't need to be giving out my address, dude. Some people just think they're fucking hilarious, and they're just gonna just do a whole pink dump right to my fucking doorstep.
Oh, that'd be.
No.
You just gave me an
don't
idea.
get any ideas.
You gave me an idea.
No,
I'm gonna go to garage sales.
just
I'm
get
gonna
everything.
go
Just
everything that I can
quarter.
paint.
You just empty the fucking coin drawer.
I'm gonna get a dump truck load worth, and I'm gonna back it up. Yep, bring it back.
Just dump
and
it
then
right there,
drop
right
it.
in the fucking driveway.
And then I'm just gonna go. I love you, buddy. Peace.
Happy having girl.
And then it'd be a boy.
It's gonna be a boy.
It's
dude.
not gonna be a boy. He thinks it's gonna be a boy, but because he thinks it's gonna be a boy, it always makes it a girl. Always.
So I think it's gonna be a boy because my wife started like absolutely loving all of the things that I like. Which maybe that's just my like genetics tipping into it, but
Yeah, that's all it is.
she
You're just gonna have
likes-
a girl that's like you.
well,
Same as me.
that's scary.
Mine looks like me
Yeah, she
and
does.
acts like
yeah,
me
Yeah.
and does the things I did as a baby, and it pisses me off.
Oh no, it's gonna be a boy, dude. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. It's gonna be a boy.
Blue or pink, people? Post it in the comments. Let's hear what you
Comment
gotta
below
say.
What you think?
I'll send you his phone number. You can call him.
Just getting harassed all day long. It's a girl.
Oh God. You
No,
get phone calls.
we're getting close to the point of probably being able to find out. So I'm getting anxious. We're probably like 14, 15 weeks along right now. So we're getting into the time where we can start figuring stuff out.
Mama bumping yet? I obviously
A
I don't
little
really
bit.
check her out that
You're
close.
you're not checking my wife out?
Not
You just don't think
not
she's
that
attractive?
close. Oh boy. Well, that's tipping into a whole new scale. I totally checking your wife out. Is that what you want to hear?
You see that thing?
Damn, Dano.
What that thing do?
What are you doing? No.
I think she's bumping a little bit.
It's pretty subtle, I think, at this point,
Yeah.
because my wife didn't show till.
It was kind of funny because like she was really sick and she was like super bloated for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like she's like, I think I'm showing, and I'm like, I think
I think you're not.
yeah. And now it's at the point where that's kind of settled. And
Yep.
She's feeling a lot better. There's like a little baby bump there. It's weird how low it is. Like
Yeah.
I just instantly like think like you should be just like bumped out up here, and it's like
Yeah, it
It's
starts
low.
slow and it works its way up though. Like it eventually
yeah.
It's like-
obviously once it like gets big.
it's like diagonal.
I don't know what I'm talking about
No,
or doing.
no, he's fucked. It's fun. I was there,
just
so
new
it's
dad.
fun to see somebody else. It's the best experience of my life. Also, some days you want to just
Yeah, I just sit and listen
Choke
to
your
your
children.
stories, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
well, you've seen Mila's tantrums.
Yeah, just the other night,
Yeah, that's great. It's really fun,
and then I
especially in
just
stores.
freak out.
Yeah,
Ah, no, take it back.
it's different when it's your own though too.
Yeah, I know. I hear that all the time.
Like it, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter. It's still the super young baby stages. I think for me, were like I definitely lost my cool a few times,
Yeah,
where it was just so much, but like also something that you need to learn right away. Put them in the crib.
yeah,
Walk away.
yeah,
Take the 5-10 minute break. It saved my life.
yeah.
Several times. It was like, okay, you've had your milk, you're changed, you had a nap at one point, you're crying to cry.
Yeah, you have
I
everything
can't
you need.
rock you. I
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
set them down, close the door, walk out to the garage, take a couple breaths, walk back in, and you're good.
Yeah.
That's my dad advice. That's,
Any dad advice, please let me know.
yeah, it's a change.
Yeah.
Your whole life very quickly, all
Crazy.
at once. All
Yeah.
at once, it goes. You lead up to it. You're like, oh, you're pregnant. It's so great. This is so fun. I'm gonna be a dad. And then the baby comes out. And you're like, oh, what is that?
Help.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Well, and it's so funny too, because like we've been trying for quite a while, and now all of a sudden it happens, like almost at the point where you've kind of accepted the fact of it wasn't
Not
going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, holy shit, I was gone all summer long. we come home a little bit in October, and then I go back up and I get this FaceTime call with a pregnancy test on the screen.
Bah.
And I was like, what? Are you serious? You know, like, it took me a hot second to even realize what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no fucking way.
It's your brain almost has this like pause.
It's like a lag time. It's
Everything
like,
stops.
The whole thing just skips and like,
Everything around you stop. Like the whole world pauses, and then you're just like,
what?
that's pink. Okay.
There's 2 lines there.
2 of them. Okay, that's a test. That's a pregnancy test.
Yeah, and then I read what the
Pregnancy.
1 line, not pregnant.
Not.
2 lines, pregnant.
Pregnant.
Double check. 2
Me,
lines.
did you pregnant.
You took test.
Test me.
Assuming.
You with me test with us test equal pregnant. Baby? You sure that's right?
It was so funny because it was like midday and I get this call and I was like, what the heck is, like, why is she calling me in the middle of a work day? Like, I'm like, she knows I'm in the middle of this. Like, it must be kind of important.
Why
Why are you calling
are you
me?
calling me?
And we're laying flooring in the main cabin. So I'm, down there, we're getting like right to the doorway too, where it's like the tricky, you got to make some cuts to fit around the door frame and whatever. And Andy's standing over my shoulder, handing me floorboards. And Danny goes, oh, I got to show you something, or I got to tell you something. And she just flips the camera around to a pregnancy test. And like everything just like zooms out and then zooms in. And I just hear Andy like hooting and hollering in the background. And it just still hasn't even clicked with me.
No, you're not even there.
Like, I don't even know what I'm looking at yet.
Yep.
And then I'm like, wait, what? Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't even get excited because I was just like still processing.
And
I was like,
it's the
what?
Yeah, it's the weirdest, scariest, best thing ever.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's arguably not. Because it's a lot of fear.
You don't even know what to do, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Like,
and it's not that you're not happy for it.
No, I was so excited.
But like, also, it's
like, this is real now.
Yeah, and
it's like, holy shit.
And that feeling, I hate to tell you, buddy. I hate to tell you.
Doesn't go away
when the baby comes out. Take that times 200. The nurse was talking to me. I helped my wife through it. Didn't want to. Ended up doing it. I was holding her leg in a position to where she could birth better, and I
staring down the pipe.
I basically caught my daughter coming out.
So wild.
That to me, never wanted that experience. It's still the coolest, scariest thing I've ever done. But I'm standing there, head came out, shoulders shot out. Like, shot out. I never even knew that was a thing. Mila, like, actually dived out of my wife. Like, touchdown! She's holding the ball. It was crazy. I was like, wow, she got the end zone. And the nurse, I'm sitting there, and I was so freaked out, because I'm like, well, that didn't look normal, 1. But 2, you go into the shock. Like, it's probably one of the only times I think my body has actually gone into shock. But the nurse is standing from you to me away, and she's talking to me. She's like, and I'm standing there, blank face, white as a ghost. I could just feel it. All the blood has traveled out of my head and face, and I couldn't understand. Like, could not understand
English in the slightest bit. Yeah,
it was the weirdest feeling in the world. I couldn't even understand what she was saying, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah. But, it's so wild.
But then after that, that fades, and then you're holding it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's exciting. I'm excited for you, dude. You guys were having some troubles in the past, and I was really bummed about it because you're gonna be a great dad.
I hope so.
Oh, you are. You got it, dude. You got it. I promise. And I hope nothing for the best for you guys. So
Wild.
Happy New Year! Everybody
Happy
knows.
New Year.
The
Current
internet
events,
knows.
babies.
Internet knows now.
Oh, God, it's wild. Good spot for a little potty break, and then we'll come back. And
I could
do our
piss like a Russian racehorse.
Do our little whiskey segment.
We're gonna go hug in the bathroom.
Just cry.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Dad! We're dads.
Be back in a minute.
BRB.
Be back.
Back in the
Potty
saddle.
break. Gotta go.
We've been trending some longer episodes, and you guys got to go to the bathroom every once in a while.
Yeah, what are we on now?
Oh, we just restarted technically,
Yeah.
so we were like an hour, little over an hour, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
So
I like the longer episodes. I
do
want
too.
content. I don't like the
And
shortened ones
I
because
don't
usually
know. It seems like people are liking it and listening to it. So
I prefer like hour and a half to 2 for me, but
that seems like a sweet spot. Like, I noticed that I stopped listening to short podcasts.
I did too.
Like, and maybe that's just us, but I don't know. When I'm listening to a podcast, I'm doing something that I want to take up. Like, I want something to take up a large chunk of time to help me pass time.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm like listening to something that's 2.5. I mean, sometimes even crazy long,
Yeah, like I've
Just to,
done
like-
3.5 hour podcasts.
just to get me through a chunk of my day.
Yeah. And it works good because, like, to me, I feel like you get actual viable information.
Yeah.
Not that you don't with the small one, because I've listened to some good small ones too.
I have too, but then it's like you're almost
Wanting more.
that, or like it's kind of an inconvenience to have to go like find another one to get you through the rest of the time that you were hoping to get through. Like, to have to go listen to 4 different podcasts.
Well, sometimes too, I feel like I don't get all of the information that I can because you're summing up some. Like, I've listened to a couple for, like, a good example is like real estate. You know, just I'm interested in potentially getting my real estate
Yeah.
license. So I listened to like 6 different ones now. And all of them are super short episodes. And then there's some like talk like we do, you know, like
Yeah.
in there. And then it's like, okay, well,
Now I just got 10 minutes of viable information.
yeah.
That's not enough.
And I'm like, if you were to have dived into 2 of those things a little deeper, I would have appreciated it a little more and actually gained something from it. But now I have to listen to your next episode, which generally speaking is something different as far as topics.
Right. It's not like it's just strung together.
No, even if it were that, I would arguably like it better to where like it pertains to the last one a little bit, but it's always new topics and it's
Right.
really quick. So it's like, okay, so am I supposed to have like background information coming into this at this point?
Yeah, you almost have to have some sort of knowledge coming into it before you even listen to it to like.
Which at
connect
that
the
point
dots.
defeats the purpose for me
Right.
because I don't have the time
Noob.
to have that fucking information. Newbert. Newburton.
Yeah, no. So hopefully you guys are liking them. I don't know. We could probably sit and talk for 6 hours, but we like doing these like 2-hour podcasts. I think they're kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah, I do get called home, so you know, I
Yeah,
guess
we-
the wife likes to see me.
Well, that's not the worst thing in the world, I suppose.
Yeah,
It'd be a hard pill to swallow if she just didn't care.
could do more. I'm kidding. Honey, if you're
kidding.
listening,
She's
that's
not.
a joke. That's
we
a
know,
joke.
We know they're not.
Yeah, she
Neither of
doesn't
our
listen.
wives are.
Yeah, they don't listen to us. They listen to us
Unbelievable.
enough, and we hang out enough to where.
That's true. Get just to listen to us talk about the same thing we talk about when we're sitting in the living room together.
My wife completely blocks us out. I think she started reading a book the other day.
Yeah.
You were sitting in the living room
Yeah.
and she like picked up her book. She's like,
So, okay, cool. We'll just talk to you later.
I don't know, whatever. I do.
I was in the middle of just asking her how she was, and she just was reading.
Just,
What?
how are you?
Yeah, don't talk to me.
Yeah, you don't have the right to talk to me.
Oh, God. Should we do a little whiskey reveal?
Yeah. Reveal your whiskey, baby. What do we got here?
Wild Turk.
Turkish Delight.
I think we've done wild turkey before. This is the rare breed.
This is
That
the
fancy Turk.
yeah
That Turk that you don't see too often.
Turks and Caicos.
Wild turkey rare breed, barrel proof. Master distiller, Jimmy Russell.
Old Jim Ross.
Old Jimbo.
I almost got to take like a. Can I have a beer? I got to take like a swisher to clear my palate here a little bit.
There's not a whole lot of information on this sucker here. Small batch, 116.8 barrel proof. That's oddly specific. That means 58.4% alcohol per volume. Number 4 char, whatever that means. Distilled and bottled by Wild Turkey Distilling Company in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
I got the tasting notes here, but let's analyze before we read them off.
Let's see what we're talking about.
Very
Caramel.
sweeter caramel, yeah.
Caramel.
Brown sugary caramel, I'd say. It's got a good a sweet up front.
Very sweet up front.
Little spicy on the back,
heat on the end. Yep.
but not burned down the throat.
Nope, not
Spicy on the tongue,
not
smooth
unbearable.
down the throat.
For being 116 proof, which is kind of steep.
Is that what we're drinking?
116.
Oh my god.
116.8 to be exact.
I should have a water.
I have had extremely hot, like 120s.
Mm-hmm.
For this to be that close to that,
Yeah, the burn down the throat is nothing. It's like
it's pretty
non-existent.
pleasant.
It's just a spice on the tongue. Caramely, I'd say probably a touch of vanilla. Maybe just a touch.
I feel like I'm picking up like a little pepper at the end. This is a blend of 6, 8, and 12-year-old bourbons.
Okay.
It is a 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley.
Tasting notes here are typically include aromas of caramel, vanilla, oak, and cinnamon, with a palate featuring flavors like leather, caramel, vanilla, black pepper. Good call.
Dude,
on
let's
the pepper.
go. Caramel pepper.
And a long finish with lingering spice and
Yeah.
oak notes. Often described as warm and smoky with a noticeable burn due to its high proof, which I argue is not true.
It's noticeable, but it's not overbearing, is what it is. Like,
But to me, a noticeable burn is when you get that, like, your swallow and you got that back throat burn.
yeah, but like, I feel like when you relate it to like something like truly hot, like hot and spicy bourbon, like it smacks you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is subtle, but it's there. Like we notice it.
Yeah,
It's noticed. Like, but it's subtle. Like it's friendly.
it's a subtle upfront burn.
Yeah.
I drink a lot of whiskeys that don't have a subtle or have more of like a noticeable back burn.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like,
But I feel like you relate it to something so aggressive. Like this is still there. You know it's there. So I got from Breaking Bourbon on the nose scent of caramel scent of caramel and toffee combined with orange zest and citrus.
I get a little bit of the orange zest
Yeah.
because it's bitter at the end.
Yeah.
Once you swallow, that's where you get that bitterness, which I would argue is almost like an old fashioned, where you get that last couple sips with the orange peel.
Yeah. And this says on the palate, maple sugar, caramel, and leather. Immediately, sweet clementines and a hint of tobacco.
Hint of tobacco is kind of tough to detect. I
Yeah,
think.
that one's like, especially because like nobody's just like chewing straight tobacco anymore. Like,
Right.
I mean, the hint of tobacco is like such a weird foreign flavor. Like, who knows raw tobacco anymore?
Yeah, that's
It's such an odd, like, I'm never going to pick up on that.
no. If
I
that's
don't-
what it tastes like, I'm in.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, get me a leaf. I'll chew on that
Sign me
fucker.
up. Giving away to nice mix of flavors with more than adequate depth and complexity. The sweet overpowers the spice as caramel and maple sugar candy temper the rye spice to a dull roar. That's like almost spot on how to describe that.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the like few reviews that I feel like have like nailed it on the head.
Yep. Yeah, and
Like-
maybe like not having raw tobacco in my mouth before, maybe that's what it tastes like.
Right.
Which again, I doubled down on it. Send me it my way.
I think like the sweet overpowering the spice. Like the spice exists, but it's almost like it's buried. Like you can still taste it, you can feel it, but it's not like so profound that it's like obnoxious on the back of your mind.
It's not like some that have like that cayenne style burn.
Yeah.
Because we've had a couple of those where it was like, it tastes like there's fucking habanero in this
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Like there's something burning your throat.
Yeah.
I think the dull roar is like the most perfect way to explain that.
Yeah.
Like it's there. Like I can still feel it from that last swallow, but like it's subtle.
I think we got to rate it. That's something we should start doing.
Yeah.
Out of 10.
Okay, let's elaborate even more. Let's go 3 scores out of 10. Let's go price. Let's go flavor. Let's go mixability.
Okay. Problem with well, no, that works.
I like it.
Is it your
Like
percentage?
you're talking like on what scale, like do you think 10 out of 10 mixability would be like, you know, mixing it with a Diet Coke or a ginger ale would make it 10 out of 10 so much better.
I think you have to feather into that though. Like mixability is probability of mixing it, because there's certain whiskeys I won't.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think like, do you think it would be better with a mixed drink or not?
Fair enough. It's good for the people.
Yeah, yeah, because there's not everybody's that's just gonna drink their whiskey straight.
Yeah.
So at a $50 price point,
50.
50. I'm gonna give this maybe like a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, at $50 compared to, especially when you start comparing it to like some of the $30 bottles that we've drank.
I think you take the comparison out of it and you say, do you feel okay spending $50 on it?
That okay, so it's the level of like, would you buy it at that price?
Correct. Yeah, not in comparison to other like budget friendly, because there's $30 whiskeys that I think I would drink over this. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's a fair comparison.
If you're looking for a high proof, so I would argue that it's important to add in there. Like it's a high proof whiskey. If you're looking for something like that,
$50 doesn't feel horrible.
no. So the taste profile on it, it's decent. It's a pretty strong whiskey, but you know, up front it's very good. It's very caramely. I would probably roll, for me, it's gonna be a 5.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a 50, it's just over 50% for me. Like, I know what it is now. If that's what I was looking for, that'd probably be the bottle I'm going, because normally, like with my higher proof bottles I have had, are some have been good and some have been terrible.
Yeah.
So
That's definitely, I take that into consideration too. Like, I don't dislike it. I think it's a solid whiskey. $50 is steep in my opinion. Like, we're not doing a ton of 50 plus reviews,
no.
which kind of sucks, but that's just the world we're in.
Yeah.
But $50, it's a lot. You know, I don't feel great about a $50 bottle, but it's good.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at from like a 6.5 standpoint. Like, if I got $50 to throw in a bottle, it's up there for sure.
Yeah.
But that's just not like the world that we're, the realm of
No, that one's hard to gauge. Okay,
Yeah.
so next one would be what did we
Taste.
Taste. Taste, I'd probably give her a 7.
I think I'm 7.5, 8.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I really do enjoy it. I mean, I like I like the high proof stuff that doesn't feel like it's high proof. Right? Like
Yep.
I hate ryes. Like when you're tipping into the 120s, 130s, just hot, smack you in the face.
Yeah, I hate ryes.
It's tough.
I hate
And
a lot of ryes.
we do a lot of the bourbons, so the ryes aren't just like out of the realm of what we try, but like it's aggressive. Like a lot of the ryes are just too much for me.
We should do that maple one. We don't have to drink it the whole night.
The one that you got at home?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Put that in.
I'd be fine trying that.
I will take a pinch. Just a pinch, though.
Just a splash.
That's good. And then the third one was so price point, taste, and
Mixability.
mixability. That's right.
And I'm gonna give this a 4. In the sense of the fact that like I don't think a mixed drink is gonna improve this.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's stuff we've had that bottom line you should mix it. Not great.
Yeah.
There's stuff that's like, oh yeah, like that would thrive as something else. This, yeah, I think especially, and I think the price comes into play with this too. Like,
Yeah, you probably shouldn't mix a $50 bottle of
Right.
whiskey.
so like I'm not
That's where
gonna
it's
knock
hard.
anybody for doing it,
Yeah.
but like I don't necessarily think something's gonna improve the flavor by adding it to it.
I'm a big guy for whiskey gingers. That's always been my forte. It's what we get when we go to the bar.
Yep.
I do a whiskey ginger a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Most of the time, especially after fishing, because I don't need a straight glass of whiskey.
Right.
But
And I do a lot of whiskey diets.
yeah.
I do a lot of like gym diets or like, maker's diet. So
Things that arguably should be mixed or can be mixed and not feel
Yes,
bad about. Because
yes.
I can drink those straight too.
Yes.
Not Jim though.
I think this has enough of a flavor profile to where it's not needed. I don't know if it's going to do any favors. I don't think a ginger ale is going to do it to this. Try
I
it.
think I'm gonna try it.
Try it. Screw it.
Brought one with. Let's try it out.
I have one in here too. I do have a ginger ale bottle in there. Like there's things that have enough flavor to where they don't need something added. Which I guess in the sense the lower the score means the less it needs something added.
Kind of overpowered it.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I'm drinking ginger ale.
Yeah. Yeah, you just lose everything.
Give me a little more. Just a touch. Like, oh, drop the mic. Drop the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, he dropped the mic.
Mic drop.
That's a shot. Oh, boy. I said a little.
It was a little.
Try and stir this now.
Get better?
We like them stiff, though. That's our problem.
See, I'm not doing it.
No?
I don't think I'm mixing this one.
It didn't add anything to it.
No.
I'll say that. Like,
No.
I'd agree. So, mixability, I'm probably going to 3.
Yeah. It would be interesting. I would like to try it in an old fashioned.
Yeah, this would be a good old fashioned drink. Sweeten it up a little bit with a sugar cube or something we've been doing is the simple syrup,
Yep.
which we have made at home before, and it's a little bit better than that little stupid bottle you buy, which is fucking terrible for you. And
I've been big on the sugar cubes. Don't get me wrong. I've done the simple syrup plenty of times.
I'm a cube guy. I'm a sugar cube, or I'd even argue not even doing the cube. I just
Little sugar.
do little sugar.
See, and that's
Dissolves
the
a little
thing with the
easier.
sugar cube and like something with a bourbon like this that's got sweet notes.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like adding too much sugar to it is a bad thing.
Yep.
You know, this is one that maybe you would cut down and do like half a cube on, or just a little dash of sugar.
I do half a cube, and then I would throw a cherry in.
Yep.
A good cherry. That's something that we could definitely talk about, is some good cherries, because
Name brand maraschino.
Luxembourg or Luxembourg.
Luxembourg. Yeah.
Cody
I think they make a maraschino.
Cody bought 3 of the tubs
Yeah.
that are this
They're
big.
expensive.
Like
They're crazy expensive. Like we're
Like-
talking like $30 a tub.
his tubs were like $100 a piece.
Oh my god, what?
He bought 3
Yeah,
for
like
his wedding.
true maraschino cherries are like crazy expensive.
He did old fashions all night at his wedding.
Yeah.
Paid.
Oh, that's wild.
Non-cash bar.
Shout out Cody. Thanks for the invite, you fucking dickhead.
You should have invited him
Unbelievable. I
No.
helped find your dog.
after the wedding.
Oh.
Yeah, like I can appreciate a good cherry. I've had the worst and I've had the best. So
I will say, like, just a cheapo cherry out of a jar, that's not cutting it.
I'm pissed. So the guy from Seven West Tap House here around us in the Mankato area used to be in town there. There's a guy who worked there as like the primary bartender, and he was like the mixologist, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, I think we've
And-
talked about him on this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have.
Yeah.
The same company owns that brick house.
Yep.
They just flip flopped it out to see if they could do better.
Yep.
Because I don't know if it wasn't doing what they wanted or what. Because it was always, I felt like, busy enough in there.
You would have thought it would have been plenty, but
It's
it's
hard.
a whole different vibe now. Like, they went.
And Mankato area is a very difficult margin because it's a college town.
Yeah.
So like going from St. Cloud to Mankato, your demographics are very different. But
Yeah.
he used to mix up some pretty mean drinks, and he had this jar of cherries, and for the life of me I can't remember what they are, but he showed me it, and it was like it wasn't like the big, like you can buy a big can of like tomato soup, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can buy cherries in that size.
Yeah.
It was a skinnier version of that, and he held it up, and it plumb full. But he goes, "This jar of cherries is a $280 jar of cherries." So like her cost on each cherry was like almost $1 a piece or something.
Just crazy.
Yeah. Like, but they were the best cherries I've ever had in my life.
Huh.
And now it's not there, and I can't ask him what it was, and I should have wrote
Should
it
have got
down.
his name. Yeah.
I do have his name, but currently I can't remember it. I'll remember it as soon as I leave
Yeah.
here.
Of course.
It's like Jared or something. No, it's not. It's not that. It doesn't matter. Anyways, good drink. I'd pick it up. Not a terrible bottle. It's definitely not the worst because we've had some bad bottles. we've
Yeah, no,
reviewed.
I think like for a $50 bottle, it's not outside of its price range. It's maybe outside of like what we typically buy for a price range.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a great bottle. I mean, it's gonna go on my shelf for sure with next by all my other Wild Turkey stuff. But I don't know. I don't think I would mix it with anything. I think it's decent for its price range. I enjoy it.
If you're in the market for 116.8 proof bottle, this is a good bottle.
Yeah. Yeah, for
I-
what some would consider middle of the road,
Some would definitely consider that.
I think it's right up the alley.
We have a tendency, for whatever reason, to fucking wreck bottles because we drink them like they're $20 bottles. So tonight we're behaving ourselves. We've done pretty good.
Not bad so far. About a third of it.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably a good point to stop drinking it.
Beers from here on out.
But Yeah, if you're looking for that, it's Wild Turkey Rare Breed.
And I think too, like everybody drinks the 101, and 101's good. We've reviewed 101 before, I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure, and I'm all for the 101. This is better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good.
We did Forester once, didn't we?
Uh huh.
Yeah, 86. I did actually get a chance to try one of the older ones.
74.
Yeah, something like that.
72?
At there's this secret bar up in Egan. It's not even that secret, but it's Von Holstedt, it's called.
Little
And
speakeasy, gonna knock the right code.
so you walk in and it's a normal restaurant bar up front. And then you open the pop machine.
Shut up.
Yep. You open the pop machine and you walk back.
That's wild.
And there's a list on it actually. It's a huge list. I can't even guess the number of bourbons that were on it. There's 2 pages. Now, mind you, each page, the letter is the smallest font almost
Just size
possible.
4.
Yep.
Size 4 times
And
New
it's
Roman.
listed and they're double road.
That's crazy.
And there's 2.5 full pages of just bourbons at this place. There's a ladder and this full shelving system. And actually, I should just send you the video.
You sent me that. Yeah.
I should send you it again. You should post it up here.
We'll put it on here.
Because this place is amazing. I could spend a lot of money there because you could do flights.
I responded to your snap and I was like, how the heck do they even get them down? And you're like, they have a ladder.
Yeah.
And it's like a library ladder.
It's a library
Like,
bookshelf ladder, and they just climb up there and grab it. So
crazy.
that place, if you're a whiskey connoisseur, go. It's Von Holsted's. It's up by the Egan area. You have to search it to get there, but wow, it blew my socks off. And then they had their own like custom appetizers and stuff you could buy on that side. That was different from the other side of the pop machine, basically.
Sure. That's wild.
It was very
Literally
tight.
like a true like speakeasy. Like
Yeah.
you walk through a secret little doorway.
Have you been to speakeasies? Never. Okay. So I've been to 3 or 4 now. Something's rattling around in the beer fridge there.
Is that what that was?
I think so. Maybe not.
No.
Oh, I don't know what that was. Anyways, I've been to 3 or 4 of them. One in New York, which was a dryer washer combo. It's a laundromat, and it's a working laundromat. So up front, it's a working laundromat, and then you go to this one dryer washer setup that is a full dryer washer. When you open the door, the whole thing comes out, and you could actually open the dryer washers, like they're
Sure.
real.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you grab like a spot, and it actually opens the whole door.
That's
and then
so
you walked
crazy.
in, and that was cool. It was like a whole party scene behind there. And then the one in Minneapolis, which I can't remember the name or location, because we got like a tip on it from somebody. It is very speakeasy, like
Hush,
not
hush.
a ton of people actually know
Yeah.
about it, and there's only certain times you can go, and you had to have the knock and everything. So like somebody had to tell me, and that's their whole thing, is like they just want the word to be spread by that.
Sure.
They don't even advertise it online.
That's
nothing.
so wild.
This place was packed, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because like there's enough people to keep it going. So
Right.
you walk down, and this actually used to be a legitimate speakeasy.
Sure.
There's a phone booth in there, and you had to do a certain number. It's a crank over
Yeah, like
phone.
a little dial.
The dial, yeah. And you did the certain dial number, and it would unlock this door. And then you went into this room, and there's this big meeting table in there. And it's all super dark in there, and there's like candles lit and stuff. And then there's a two-way mirror, so you could see out
Sure.
into the dining area or whatever. And the whole bar is dark. I mean, it's all dark. And then they have these fancy specialty cocktails. One of the best old fashions I've ever had in my life, still to this day. And there was 2 ways to get in and out of that room. And so like we were just like standing in there drinking our whiskey, like, and that one was super cool, and it's a big metal door with a slide and everything. So like,
Just-
dook, 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 you know, it was like something
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, something you see out of a movie, basically.
And then the guy comes out with a walkie-talkie, and he goes, "How many's in your party?" And I said 4, and he goes, "We got 4 in the party," and then he closes the door again. And then he opens the door again, and like 4 people leave, and then he's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can come in. That's it. And
Counts it down.
there was like a few people behind us,
Yeah.
and they're like, "You're not coming in yet."
Wild.
It was so cool.
So as people leave, they're letting more people in.
Yep.
And
Yeah. So that was super fun.
crazy.
And then there was another one pretty similar to that I've been to. So I've been to 3 for sure. And that was pretty much same thing.
That's wild.
Metal door, like it's fun. If you guys can stumble upon one, I would recommend
Yeah.
it. Like plan to spend a little bit of money. A good one in Egan is the Mudroom.
Yeah.
That's a big shout out one. We watched dueling saxophones. That was cool. And they're lounge chairs all the way down. And it's a huge room down there. So you get down. That one's not like a secretive one.
Sure.
But it's only open certain times.
Sure.
So you go down in the mudroom. It's all like the red curtains kind of hung on the walls. It's very decorative, very dark, you know. And then you're in lounge chairs, like nice barrel lounge chairs around your table. And like you pay a pretty penny to drink there, but it was worth every single one because that was another great like old fashioned spot or just like whiskey off the shelf. They had everything you could imagine, and then you're getting entertainment on top of it.
Yeah.
And my wife and I went and we sat there for
Wait, like they had live dueling saxophones?
live dueling saxophone. Two dudes
Crazy.
playing the saxophone, and they were like battling.
People can shred on the sax.
Oh, it was cool.
That's nuts.
So the vibe down there was super cool. So if you're ever in that area, that's a good spot to
That's
check out.
crazy.
Big shout out Mudroom. It's under the 13 Tavern over there in Egan.
Okay.
Egan, because there's a bunch of those like 13 taverns kind of
Yeah.
all over up in
Yeah.
the cities area. So that one was really cool.
Huh. Wild.
You and I should go. Maybe on our way to
That'd be
Red
fun.
Lake
Yeah, we should.
or on our way back or something.
If we can go.
Shut up, dude. We're working on it. I'm working my ass off on it. Shut up.
Shut up.
All right. What's next, big dog?
A little project segment.
What are we working on? I don't even know.
Well, I built that little rod holder cubby thing.
Oh yeah,
Thing's pretty sweet.
the milk crate.
Just fucking using the milk crates.
I'm like arguing that I might just switch to that for my fucking poles.
It's crazy how much better that is.
I don't like going into the rod box. I
The
kinda
rod,
hate it.
the rod holder or the rod boxes suck. We've talked about that. We've talked about the Eagle Claws. Like they're clunky. They don't fit right. They're just meh.
And I opened mine on 2 Saturdays ago. That's when we were out on our lake, and I opened it up, and my poles were spider webs.
It was just a clusterfuck.
They had come out of the little holster thing at the bottom there, the little clip, and had actually just from moving around. And I'm not shaking the shit out of my box by any means. Like I'm usually
it's
pretty
just, like,
careful.
Travel time and everything. Like
It's bouncing on the ice in the sled.
in the truck bed.
Yep.
Whatever. Like
It completely pissed me off. We were on fish. It was time to get down to fish, and I opened my rod box expecting them to be in the same condition I left them. And like, sure, arguably, maybe we need to do that on the shoreline, I guess. But
that's so
shouldn't have
stupid. You
to.
shouldn't have to. That's
Yeah.
so dumb to have to say.
I was pissed, and then we did the milk crate with the pole holders on the outside, and
Yeah, so I have a milk crate that I put rod holders on the outside. They're just zip tied to it. It was like a kayak mod where you just strap them into the kayak. But it's kind of perfect.
yeah, it works really well.
And like I throw them in, I put all my St. Croix rods in it and pop it in the middle of the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
And it sits there perfectly. It fits in between the two seats perfect. And it's kind of clutch.
I think for maybe like I think the rod boxes have their place. I think for maybe transporting them, you're less likely to break tips and like
Yes.
you're not going to have the fuck ups, I guess.
Yes.
Like cuz you could have something happen to where you toss something in the back or like you reach back to grab something and it's like there is an argument to be said like if you're going on a trip to where you're like transporting them, I think they're a good play.
Yeah. That
But
being
once you
said,
get there,
I threw my Yeti bag back there like right in the middle of the crate. I had my dog in there. Like, I mean, it was just it was fine.
yeah. It's hard. I don't know. I maybe it's peace of mind more than it is anything.
It is because it's like they're so exposed in the milk crate.
Mm-hmm. Like to me, I fell
Yeah,
last time we were out.
yeah,
Broke a
you
rod tip.
fell right on top of it.
Brand fucking new snitch rod. Just reeled it up that day or like the day before we went out, and I was running across the ice. We were hole hopping, and it was
Slipped
that
and
white
fell.
powdery snow
Yeah.
and both legs at the same time. Poof. I hit my knees on the ice. I felt like a 90-year-old man just about killed me, and they almost had to stretcher me off. And then I get up. Didn't even notice I got up, and I like grabbed the line to put it down the hole, and then I'm like, oh,
Just fucking
gone.
Just dangling
Tip's gone.
there. Yeah.
Which that's just, I mean, that's part of it. It happens.
Yeah.
So, like, you think about stuff like that, and you're like, okay, well, it wasn't that easy to break the tip off. So I'm like, okay, for transferring, it's fine, but for ease of getting your pole ready to rip, I would almost rather have them in that upward standing. You grab it, I'm ready for it. It's going down the hole. We're good.
Yep. Yeah, so what I took that little milk crate that I had full open water rods on. I would strap it on the back of my kayak. And I took that and I throw my flasher in it and I throw my underwater camera in it. And we've been talking about actually doing like a little lid with a little lip on it that you can store stuff on. But it's got 2 3 rod holders. And I can put all my St. Croix in it. And we put your 2 or 3 rods that you were going to take out the other day on the lake that we were on.
Mm-hmm.
And you just pitch it into the sled.
Yep.
It fits in there perfect.
And you grab and go.
You grab and go. Yeah, you don't have to sort through anything. You don't have to worry about anything getting tangled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was kind of perfect.
Now, mind you, we generally have 6 rods apiece.
Yeah.
You probably have 8, 10. Douche.
12.
Yeah, he's kind of
16.
ridiculous. I don't
I
even
have
have that
16.
many
I have
panfish
16.
rods or rods in general. I think I have a total of maybe 16. And it's just nice not to have to re-string a line, obviously. Not that we don't. We do still,
It happens, yeah.
I just like having a couple of options available to like just give different presentations and different like rods in general, which now the more that we fish, the more that I'm actually like figuring out specifically exactly which rod I want. And I think I'm moving away from the Microtech. Even with the spring bobber, I like it, but they're hard to put away.
Well, the thing is like, it's the spring bobber is such a specific technique, and we don't fish it that often.
Well, and I'm running that Jason Mitchell rod that I
Oh,
fucking
God,
hate.
here we go.
fucking hate
Oh, I'm gonna get...
it. Big shout out Jason Mitchell. Your fucking rod sucks. Dude, it's terrible.
Never... I watch a lot of Jason Mitchell. A lot of respect for the dude. The dude catches so many fish.
Yeah, like he's a good fisherman.
Never have I ever seen him hold that rod in his hand.
I bought it. It was a good buy, so I bought it. I was curious.
It was a horrible buy.
Yeah, I've had nothing but problems.
Junk.
The spring bobber actually doesn't work.
Junk.
Like it's actually, I was getting bit and had bites on, and with a spring bobber rod, arguably, you should know at all times what's happening down there at that point.
Yes.
Like it, because my Microtech from 13, I know when a fish touches my line.
Yep.
Jason Mitchell, the fucker's got to swallow it and run still for you to know. And if it just grabs it and it's like nipping at it, I have to like be 100% looking at it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm missing my fish, and that's irritating. I actually like the rod up until that point.
Until the spring.
Right.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know if they
Except
use
the reel sucks. Too.
The reel is fucking terrible. The reel is the worst reel I have. It was nice at first because it was like, oh, it's a little wider. So I was thinking like your line memory is mitigated a little bit.
Yep.
But like I just spooled it last year, and I take pretty good care of my shit. And this year I put it down the hole. I respooled it at the end of last year, mind you. And I have probably lost 40 foot of line off of that one because it comes out and it's terrible. I have to pull it off the front of the spring bobber there to put it down the hole. And granted, that's part of the issue with the open spool anyways, but still, it's like aggressively bad.
It shouldn't be that bad.
No, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I continue to use it because my Microtech is down, so.
Well, it's not anymore. You just gotta string it up and tie it.
One of them. My other one is down again.
Oh, yeah.
My spring bobber one. My actual Microtech panfish rod from 13. And I do really like that one. But the problem, again, is still storing those in those boxes, because as soon as you put them down in that foam, it like stretches that line and you're starting to bend that.
Yeah, the spring bobber.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've strayed away from spring bobbers.
Yeah. I probably will too. I might run all snitch.
The snitchers are nice. I would say like the noodle style that you can see an upbite on is just as good as a spring bobber in 99% of the scenarios.
Just looking at where we're at. Sorry. Go ahead.
42 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I would say the noodle type rods that show like deflection and like you can still see an upbite on them,
Mm-hmm.
they accomplish the same thing that a spring bobber does.
Yeah, and you're a little less likely, I feel like, to break them or bend them or like.
The spring bobbers are just so like they're overly sensitive, and if they get bent in any weird way, you start to not be able to see upbites, and like, it just takes away from the point.
That's what happened to the Jason Mitchell part of it, other than all of the other problems with it. But excuse me, and even the rubber straps that come on it.
Yep.
I was looking to 8-inch crappies, and I could feel the reel separating,
jumping, basically. Yeah,
the reel separating from my pole, and I'm like,
good.
And the worst part, the zip ties are still on it. On top of that,
yeah, and that's bad.
I'm like, ooh.
I cut those zip ties off immediately, but if you're still feeling that reel separate, even with the zip tie,
Yep,
that's bad.
Make a better rod.
So no offense,
jackass. Just kidding. I appreciate Jason Mitchell. I do. I don't like the rod that has his name on it.
That's the thing, and we talked about this the other day too, where it's like you get a little bit wound up because it's like you're slapping your name on something, but I've watched every Jason Mitchell video. I promise I've never seen him fish with that rod.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of fucked.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, okay.
Don't put your name on something that you're not using.
Yeah, it seems
Like if you're using dead meat 90% of the time, just make it dead meat.
Yeah.
Like don't make another rod that's just like entry level, budget friendly that you don't use that's not any good. Just don't
just
do
to
it.
have
Don't
your name
settle.
on it to market
like,
it.
Don't settle for another check. Like,
Well, I think the goal of it is like, yeah, I'm a great fisherman and I'm sponsored by all these people. I've done it my whole life. I'm a professional fisherman. I'm going to slap my name on a Nike shoe and
Right.
hope it sells.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like I get there needs to be stuff for every budget, every income, whatever. But like if it's not good
yeah.
and you don't use it, don't put your name on it. That's tacky.
The first thing you need to start with is the reel itself. That's probably the worst part about the whole thing.
The reel is so important.
Something I said from the get-go is I like the reel for the fact that there's a little push button on the side. Every company should switch to that.
Yes.
The little
You
push
fold
button
it
on the
up,
side.
and it fits in the rod holder so much better.
Yep, so I can flip that
Awesome.
fucker down. It's going in the box. That's great. But the reel is it was like I used it for the first time and I'm reeling. It was like, and I'm like, oh, this is clunky as fuck.
That's no good.
Anyways, we've been talking for a while. So to recap, let's do a little recap here. Happy New Year to start, obviously.
Hope you guys had a good holidays.
There's some new laws in place.
Yep.
Definitely check those out.
Yep. Make sure you're up to date with everything. Make sure you pay attention to the changes.
Let's make sure we're being safe on the ice. That's the number one.
Yep.
That one's a big one. Just
Nobody needs
just
to
because
get
it was
hurt.
good last week doesn't mean it's good this week with weather.
Yep. And be conscious of how you're approaching all of that ice.
Mm-hmm.
Be conscious how you're approaching the fish that you're fishing. That's huge.
Yep. Just pay attention to what you're doing.
Yep.
Gain a little knowledge, whether
Yep.
it's from listening to us or there's plenty of videos on YouTube and everywhere else that just kind of can give you some pointers if you don't know, and
Yeah.
just be good at the hobby you do. You know,
Yep.
if it's a hobby and you appreciate the hobby, it's the least you can do.
Yep. Clean up after yourself. Take care. I mean, think about future generations. Take care of the fish that you're fishing.
We're all probably, a lot of us are going to have kids someday.
Yep. New dad. I want my son to be fishing these same fish.
Yep. It's where we live. It's
My
where
son.
your daughter's going to be fishing. Or my daughter's going to fish. Pro girl for Max.
Power to the people.
I
Close it out there.
think so. Don't be afraid. Do some comments. What you think. What you don't like. What you like.
Yeah, let us know about the little new segments that we're doing. I think the meat eater trivia is fun, but if you guys hate it, let us know.
Yeah, we'll cut it out if you don't like it, but it's fun
Or
for us.
we'll just keep doing it because it's kind of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, it's fun. You don't have to just skip forward.
Let's skip it.
Big shout out to everybody for listening. We appreciate you guys once again. Wilderness Whiskey Roundtable, another one in the books. Appreciate you guys. Happy New Year. See you soon. We'll be back next week.
Catch you
Line's
on
tight.
the next one. Bye.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.